What's up, guys? It's Christian here, and today I have a very different video than what I'm usually used to. And I will apologize that it's been so long. I've been through quite a challenging situation recently, and now having gone through that, like, there's a little side tangent, but now having gone through that, I've kind of been like trying to evaluate with myself what value can I actually give to the people who watch me, and how would I like to give that value. So, in that, I thought it be nice to experiment with something new. Oh my gosh, let me enunciate my words. I thought it would be good to experiment with a new type of video that literally just came to me today as I was, trying to figure out some math problem that I had to work out for because I'm learning more about this computer programming language called MATLAB. There's this problem that it had us do, and I wanted to get a little gist of it to be able to help me solve the problem, and then, but leave the calculation to me. I just needed to find the gist of the problem because, of course, if I were to tell you, hey, Salt, what is 3 plus 5? It's different from if I were to tell you I have 3 turtles in a lake and now I would just put 5 more turtles. So basically, just to be able to help me conceptualize it more, went to Chat GPT for that. But, anyways, as I went to that, I went to, I thought, what if I asked this question right here? So you might be able to read this question. It says, is it possible that the reason that I take everything personally is because it strokes my ego to believe that everything is about me? And this was a question that, if you're not already following me on Instagram, go ahead and follow me at cglamod. And on my story, because the thing is, I am a very deep thinker and I like to think about things deeply. So that is a side of me that it took a little like actual effort for me to say, hey, maybe I share this side to with the people on Instagram rather than just in my journal, right? Anyways, so I, you know, a while ago, as I climbed up a mountain here in Las Vegas, you know, took picture of the surrounding views when I was at a high place on that mountain, almost at the top. I think it was at the top when I took that picture. Anyways, it's a picture of Las Vegas mountains that I just posted to my story, and with some like one heart music that's ambient and deep thinking type music. Um, and I wrote this question in caption: is it possible that the reason I take everything personally is because it strokes my ego to believe that everything is about me? So I thought it'd be interesting if I asked ChatGPT the response, and just wanted to share with you guys. And most of my videos come from are me coming from a teaching perspective, like, hey, here's what I learned and what I want to share with you guys. But this video is more of a discussion type of thing to just show you what this is. And of course, your thoughts are most definitely welcome in the comments. Like, blow up the comment section. Whatever you're thinking about this discussion, let me know. I'm sure I can definitely learn from it and help myself become better. And you don't know who you can impact by leaving a comment in my comment section and saying, like, yeah, this is what I think about this. Like, your comment could actually, like, literally change someone's life. I'm not even exaggerating. So let me get a sip of water and then we'll read what Chat GPT has to say. Okay, so it says, it's possible that taking things personally can be connected to a need for validation and significance, which can be related to ego. However, this tendency can also stem from a variety of psychological factors, including self esteem issues, past experiences, and personality traits. Here are some perspectives to consider. Number one, ego and validation. If you find yourself taking things personally, it might be because it feels validating to believe that events and comments are directed at you. So, ChatGPT's short answer is yes, but fortunately, it offers more perspectives than just that. So, it might be because it feels validating to believe that events and comments are directed at you. This can feed into a desire for significance and attention, making you feel important and central in various situations. Number two, self esteem. Individuals with low self esteem might take things personally because they are more sensitive to perceived slights or criticisms. They may interpret neutral or ambiguous comments as negative feedback about themselves. And I will say, guys, like, be like, I remember there's this YouTuber called Basketball Brain. It may be back to his real name, Dylan Freed, but the channel, I love the channel because this guy talks about like the mindsets that guys like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant had on the basketball court, having, been a former player himself. And I really resonate with that content as a former basketball player, because if you look at the mindsets of these guys, it can really apply to life. And I mention him because he made this amazing video where he talked about, what he liked to call the Punisher, where, like, let's say you had a basketball game and you scored 20 points, just for the sake of example, demonstration, whatever you want to call it. Let's say you had a basketball game and you scored 20 points. At first glance, that's good. That seems good. You accomplished something. But then there is, that voice in your head that's like, oh, well, you could have gotten 30. Oh, your 20 points that you got isn't that valuable because look at the competition you're playing. Of course, you're supposed to score 30. So supposed to score 20. You should have scored 30. Oh, you had 3 turnovers. Like, there's something in our brains, guys, that like always wants to bring us down and always wants to point out the negative in things. And I don't know, I might have talked about this before, but if I haven't, like, let it be known. And this is what I'm just going to be honest with you guys. Like, I'm currently working on this that I'm about to mention. And is that I've realized that because we have this automatic inclination, so to speak, towards negativity in our minds, it literally takes a conscious effort and a hard conscious effort to block out the negativity, or maybe use it as constructive criticism, but make sure that you acknowledge the positive things about experiences, about outcomes, about whatever the case may be. Because if you focus so heavily on the negative, like, you could use it and help you become better. But if you focus on it too much, it really messes with you in a horrible way. So let that be known that our brains have this natural negativity bias. So it's important to know that it takes like a real hard conscious effort to, put your mind in the right space where it needs to be, so that you're not just focused on that negativity. And all right, so number 3, past experiences. If you've had past experiences where you were frequently criticized or blamed, you might develop a tendency to see criticism everywhere, even when it's not intended. This can be a defense mechanism to prepare for potential negative feedback. Yeah, I really think that could resonate with me. Yeah, I think that resonates with me and can resonate with a lot of you guys. So I like that. That just stands out to me. Cognitive distortions, number 4. Taking things personally can be a cognitive distortion known as personalization, where you assume responsibility for events outside your control. This is a common thinking error where people attribute external actions and external events and actions to themselves without evidence. So basically, it's, where you assume responsibility for events outside your control. This is something that I think holds many people back from becoming the best versions of themselves, is to have a mental fixation on things that are outside your control, because you simply can't do anything about it. So you have to focus on what you can control, because that is where you start to make the most progress, when you're focusing on the right things. So, of course, this is me talking to a mirror again, because I struggle with this too. But definitely, I think this is what this line of cognitive distortions is trying to tell me, to focus on what I can control, because that is how I make progress. And yeah, common thinking error, people attributing external events and actions to themselves without evidence. And that's the thing too, without evidence. Like some of us, like me included, like believe things and go into these like random thought loops without evidence that they benefit us. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind right there. Empathy and sensitivity. Number five. Sometimes being highly empathetic or sensitive to others' emotions can lead you to take things personally. You might over-identify with others' experiences and feelings, making it hard to separate their emotions from your own. And I will say that see I do see that I am a empathetic from the standpoint that I withhold from mentioning certain information about myself, because like mentioning certain positive information about myself, because I have the feeling that it will make the person I'm talking to or people I'm talking to feel lesser than when I mention that stuff. Or even when I talk like this, like real talk, me just being here and talking about stuff, talking about self improvement, talking about mental health, I have the feeling that that just came to me right now, that like there will be someone who like stumbles upon this video and be like, oh, you use Chat GPT, or oh, nobody cares about what you have to say, but the reality is like that's an issue with them, I think. And so being able to realize that really helps you. And that's the thing too, is that like you can't, gonna stop myself from getting on a side tangent, but you have to be that's why it's so important to be authentic, because no matter who you are, people will like you or dislike you. So let them like you or dislike you for you, authentically you. um but yeah, I'd just say that because sometimes I almost held back from posting that story out of empathy, because I feel that somebody might think that message is cringe. Anyways, let's move on to number six: perfectionism. Perfectionists often have high standards for themselves and can be overly critical of any perceived failure or criticism. This can lead to taking things personally, as they interpret feedback as a reflection of their worth and abilities. Now, as I read this part, a couple things come to mind. Number one, yeah, perfectionists like will find like darn near anything to blame themselves. And I will or maybe I don't know where I was really getting at with number one. Maybe it'll come back to me. But number two is basically that one of the most common traits I see among great leaders is that they give credit and they take blame. And they may have a case for giving someone else blame, like vice versa of what I just said. They may have a case, they may have a right. It may seem reasonable, however, when you say it, like it may seem reasonable for them to, take credit or give blame, but that's just not what a leader does if you want people to rally behind you and to be considered as a good leader. Um, so that's why I've even gone as far as to like literally take blame for everything, because I because if I take blame for a particular thing, then that puts me in the state of power to be able to change that situation. So yeah, and I know you guys have probably heard me say that before. Like you want to, blame yourself for your situation, because that gives you the ability, like yes, you have to burden, like you have to like face the pain of saying, yeah, that it's my fault that I'm not where I want to be in life. But then you also have the responsibility that gives you, hey, if I had if I'm here because of me, like if y'all can see my hand, if I'm here because of me, I can get to here because of me, right? So that's what the power of taking blame for where you're at. Let me get a sip of water to read the rest of this. Okay, so to address this tendency, consider the following strategies: self reflection. Reflect on why you might be taking things personally. Understanding the root cause can help you address the underlying issues. Yes, I am a firm believer in self reflection. And not only that, and I think this is what really helps you when you're a deep thinker, is that you start to ask yourself questions like these, and you realize that everything isn't just that. And I know it's that sentence right there doesn't make sense, but like I'll give you an analogy. So when got I've had a growing injury two separate times, once in 2019 and once in, oh my gosh, what year was it? 2022. 2022. So in 2022, when I went to see this, I don't even know what you call them. I'll call, like, yeah, I guess you could say like a physical therapist. That's it. So I went to see this physical therapist, and I came to him and was like, dude, I got this growing injury. I've foam rolled it, I've stretched it, and I don't know what to do. And he, tested the movement, the mobility of my hips and saw that I had awful hip mobility. And he would be like, okay, I'm going to press down on, your leg, like pressing down on my leg to the position where I had to move my hip and use hip strength in order to like push back on it. And he's like, push back against me. And I was like super weak, let him push down every single time. And so he's like, this is why you have growing pain, is like because you've you have weak hip strength, that compromises your growing strength and flexibility. And so I say all that because, like, just like how that is physically, like literally I had something called plantar fasciitis in my foot. Okay, I'm not going to go and ramble about my body, but yeah, like one last thing. Plantar fasciitis in my foot, and chiropractor, not even like a physical therapist, like chiropractor told me, like, yeah, if you got plantar fasciitis, you've got tight calves. And for sure enough, tested my calves, and I had, I might still have, but I think it's gotten better. But my calves are really tight. So just like those two examples, the same thing happens in the mind where, what seems as one issue is the result, most of the time, like 9 times out of 10, is a result of a, a like deeper issue than that. And so that's why self reflection and getting alone and writing in your journal is so important, because it allows you to get to the root cause and not just try to attack the face value. And like, sure, you may like attack that, certain thing at face value, but it might not change. Like, either a few things might happen. Either one, it doesn't change. Two, it does change, but another issue comes up. And actually there is no three. It's just that either it doesn't change or it does change, but another issue comes up, or a similar issue comes up, or the same issue comes up because you haven't solved that root cause. All right. So that is my pitch for self-reflection. Now, cognitive restructuring: challenge your thoughts and assumption. Ask yourself if there is evidence that a comment or action was truly about you, or if you're making an unwarranted assumption. And that is not just good for asking yourself whether you're taking things personally, but for a lot of things too. It's good to, like, always challenge your thoughts and assumption, because 9 times out of 10, or maybe even fewer times than that, they there's not much evidence for like certain thoughts that you get in your mind. So being able to challenge them will give you the opportunity to address them appropriately. Mindfulness and emotional regulation. Practice mindfulness to stay present and grounded. This can help you respond to situations more calmly and objectively. Now, I shared my whole screen here. Normally, I would just share this tab, but for this, when I was reading this earlier today, I came to it was interesting. I looked at the word mindfulness. I'm like, man, I've heard this word many times before, but I haven't. I don't think I'm quite sure what it means. And y'all pray for me right now. I didn't think I needed to refill my water bottle, but I've been mistaken. But we'll get through the rest of this video and we'll be all right. Anyways, mindfulness. I was like, what is this? Is it, being able to like take the thoughts that you get at face value and be able to reflect on them? Because as like reflective and mindful as that is, if you take it too far, it sounds a little bit like overthinking. So I looked it up on Google, and yeah, it's got a thing for AI, but I am right here. So it says mindfulness is the cognitive skill usually developed through meditation of sustaining a meta attention of the contents of one's own mind and in the present moment. Mindfulness derives from sati, a significant evidence of Hindu and Buddhist transitions and is often based on Zen. I'm going to try to pronounce that. Vipassana. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And Tibetan meditation techniques. And just reading this right here, mindfulness is the basic human ability to be fully present, aware. So that's from Wikipedia right here. But this is from mindful.org. Mindfulness is the basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we're doing, and not to be overly reactive or overwhelmed. So this is what meditation practices essentially is. This is mindfulness right here, is to be able to be, whether you're working or you're taking a walk in nature, you lose, excuse me, or even if you're having a conversation with someone, you lose presence from time to time, right? Like, let's just establish that right now. Our minds have the tendency to wander. And whether we're thinking about uh, an assignment we have to handle later in the day, or we're trying to get done by tonight, another friend who's trying to hit us up for something, or that girl we've been, meaning to talk to for a while, or some silly memory from high school, we get these thoughts. And like mindfulness is basically, that's why they often, like whenever we come across the word meditation, we often also come across the word mindfulness, because mindfulness is the ability to like get that thought, realize that you're getting that thought, and then let it go away and then get right back to the present moment. And I'll admit, I don't always do this when I meditate. I'm just going to put that out there right now and be like, yeah, like this is something that I struggle with. So as I, continue to meditate, and that's another thing that I don't want you guys to be like me in the regard of, is I have the tendency to identify problems in myself and not address them, because, or just like, all right, yeah, my computer's almost dying, but yeah, like when you see certain problems, like address them and see what needs to be done and able to solve in order to solve them. Okay, we're almost done here. So, and my computer's dying, so let's get through this. So developing self-compassion, cultivate a kinder attitude towards yourself, recognize that not everything is a reflection of your worth, and it's okay to make your mistakes or face criticism 100%. Setting boundaries. Learn to set emotional boundaries, recognizing that others' opinions and actions are often more about them than you. This is, I think I'm like hinted towards this before, but this is probably the gist of what I'm, trying to get at, is the ability to, recognize that, yeah, like other people's opinions and like what they say, like even if I get a negative comment on this video, it's a reflection of that person more than it is myself. So of course that doesn't mean that if like they actually have constructive criticism, I will take it into consideration and see how it can make me better. But if it's like one time on my aviation channel, I got a comment that was like, nobody gives an F. Like that's a reflection on that person, with all due respect. So, and it says here, like by exploring these strategies, you can start to shift your perspective and reduce the tendency to take things personally, leading to healthier interactions and a more balanced view of yourself in relationships. So yeah, that's that. And I also did want to share, let's see the percentage that I'm on. 19%. Yeah, we got time. um Upon posting this, I got one of my friends responded to my story in my Instagram messages, and I'll read you the message real quick and my response to it. So he said about responding to this question here, is it possible that the reason that I take things personally? Now, I did say that when reading like the thing, I said, is it possible that I take things personally? But here I put everything personally because I was just like writing it without uh, looking at the thought. And I didn't like feel the need to write it from the story that I posted verbatim. Just wanted to write something along the lines. So that's it. Is it possible that the reason I take everything personally is because it strokes my ego to believe everything is about me? And he says, no, it could just be you actually care about the things you were worried about. And he says, I find it less annoying or anxious when I just try to solve the problem and not worry about how it's going to affect my self image. That is huge. Just solve the problem independent of how it might affect your self image. I think, yeah, that really helps me, given the context of what's going on in my life in particular. And so I responded to him and said, I like that a lot. I'm also aware of the I'm also aware of the sides of situations that might shook my ego. I'll admit, I'll admit, I checked Instagram before I finished my Bible reading to see if anyone responded to the story, and I put in parentheses looking for validation. I really appreciate, and then I sent a message to him. I was like, I really appreciate your response, dog. I came, I've come to find that most men in their 20s have fragile ego because they are expected to go out into the world and have everything figured out, and it hurts them when they don't. So they project their pain onto others or hide their pain behind their ego. That's the biggest thing I'm trying to work through at the moment, and you've helped me. So thank you. And then finally, I'll read his response and then get over with the video. He says, "No problem, bro." And I totally get it because I'd say our families raised us so well, and we've been given been giving ourselves too much pressure about trying to be perfect about all things. So that's it for this video. I hope that helped you, and I hope I was able to provide more value to you guys than just what ChatGPT gave me. So if you guys want to see more of this video, let me know. If you thought this one was a flop, let me know too. It's a new type of video, so I welcome all feedback that you guys have and would like to know like what stood out to you guys. What do you guys think about what would you how would you answer this question? Yeah, how would you answer this question, and what do you think about what has been said? What stood out to you? What's the biggest thing that stood out to you? Let me know in the comments below. Love y'all. Take care.